tuned in to the hottest sports analysis of the week with your hosts Ron Dolbeck and Chris Roberts. And now, here's the first round.
Good morning. You're in the first round. All sports talk on YouTube. It's a Sunday morning. Sunday mornings usually don't go great because none of us are really awake. Chris and I stay up till dark 100 watching the reruns of the college games. But I woke up this morning and I was thinking, what stood out to you in sports yesterday? Because there's a lot of stories, and we've talked about the last couple weeks how this time of year there's so much going on. You've got NBA, you got NHL, you've got college football, you got pro football. Boxing is ramping up. Every 2 weeks you've got MMA. You've probably got a Tiddlywinks contest going on, and for some reason ESPN is playing cornhole competitions sponsored by Johnson Brats. That's kind of hitting a bottom with me. I mean, that just absolutely does nothing. I see that and I just want to throw a brick through my TV. But the point is, as I digress, is that there's so much going on in sports. What stood out to you yesterday? Was it a one-punch knockout by Deontay Wilder with about 6 seconds left to go in the 7th round against Luis Ortiz in their rematch? I saw that. That was pretty stunning. One punch. He's losing the whole fight. Was it freshman Jaden Daniels dropping 2 long bombs against that Oregon defense and then throwing for over 400 yards total in the game? You couldn't help but feel good for ASU, even though I had money on Oregon. But that kind of stood out to me. What about Nate Mays, the quarterback for Youngstown State, being carried out onto the field by his teammates to take his last snap as a senior while he's fully dressed, helmet, everything, and a broken ankle? They called a timeout with 10 seconds left. That was a pretty amazing gesture. I love stuff like that in sports. Keaton Slovis at USC. Did you see he threw for 515 yards and 4 touchdowns against their in-city rival, UCLA? That stood out. How about FIU? 30-24, beating Miami. That was on the low end of things that stood out. The obvious ones are LSU wins. Ohio State gets a win that we pretty much all knew was going to happen. It was just closer than what we thought. But I like to go through sports and see the things that actually stand out to me that aren't the obvious things. And we'll be talking about all those today in the first round. Chris, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, man. I'm doing good.
You're fighting off a cold.
Yeah, trying to.
Beer?
Probably.
Alcohol can kill germs?
Probably some Hennessy and some gin today.
Hennessy and some gin.
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's right before church, folks. So let's see what he looks like at 4 o'clock when the Patriots take the field. What stood out to you yesterday in sports?
What stood out to me yesterday in sports is the fact that you had your guy, you had your defensive end from Ohio State come back and set the
Chase Young
come back and set the Ohio State sack record. And the fact that he did that with 2 less games.
Mm-hmm.
He was suspended for 2 games, and he's done that already.
Yeah, he had 3 sacks yesterday.
Yeah, so the fact that he was able to come back and just do that, was that stood out to me. I mean, the guy's a monster.
What about it? So let's get into college football. We'll talk about Ohio State 28-17 victory at home against Penn State. So enough. I mean, the game was the game. What happened is what we thought was going to happen. Right. Some friends of ours in Nebraska took OSU. I know I can't help but laugh because they took Ohio State minus the 18.
I know, right?
that didn't work, which is good for us because we're in a pool with him. But so we thought OSU was going to win. Are they the number 1 team in the country because of this win?
No,
I don't think so either. I still got LSU number 1.
I got LSU number 1.
Yeah, but you could throw any of the top 4. So I don't want to rush ahead, but real quick, I've got Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, and Bama as my top 4. I think Bama's better than Georgia. That's just my opinion. But you could throw any of those 4 against each other, and I think we're going to get a great matchup. I'm actually excited about the college football playoff this year. If Georgia gets in, I'm not going to be that excited. And I'm not hating on Georgia at all. I'm not, but they just don't have an exciting brand of football. They have a really good defense,
Right.
and then an offense that's been, on the back of a milk carton for the past 5 weeks. They're MIA. I mean, the FBI, it's like the FBI couldn't find their offense right now. It's just sputtering at best. And yesterday, I don't want to hear the Georgia fans getting on the soundboards and Twitter. Well, it was raining. Well, how about the last 4 weeks if we just erase yesterday? So I'm excited about any of those four, Bama, Clemson, OSU, and LSU playing. Any combination of those, I don't care. I'm looking forward to any of those.
Right. I'm looking forward to any of those two. I would slide Bama in too over Georgia simply because of what Bama did yesterday with a backup quarterback.
A backup quarterback, yeah. So is Bama in your top four and you move Georgia down now?
I moved Georgia down.
Yeah.
After that game yesterday, it was. I mean, it's like I don't know what's going on with Georgia as far as them playing down in the competition, I guess.
Yeah.
But they're not playing like a top 4 team to me.
Can you imagine if Bama played down to their competition yesterday?
Right.
That's impossible, right? So Georgia does get the win at home in a very sloppy game. Sloppy literally because of the weather. 19-13 over Texas A&M. And again, that was one of my picks on the week. I said take Texas A&M plus the 13.
Right.
They cover for me. I've got to make a list of all the picks that I've made that have blown.
Right.
How about BC? I took BC plus the 27. Yeah, awesome running game. 7 points in that one. Anyway, so Georgia gets that win. And, you and I were both wrong on Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan's 9-2, and they've absolutely turned their season around. They get a win. I'm not going to say a big win, 39-14 over Indiana yesterday. The first quarter was a tough-fought game, and Indiana was hanging close. And then Michigan just started blowing the doors off. I mean, Shea Patterson looked actually better than human yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was Indiana, so we'll see next week when they go against Ohio State.
You're absolutely right. And you know what? Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. When you look over the past 10 years or so, I'd say 8 or 9 of the games, OSU, Ohio State against Michigan, it really doesn't matter where the teams are ranked or how they're playing.
Right.
It's usually about a 5-point game.
Yeah.
Which the line will come out today. I'm going to say that the line on Michigan's going to be 11.5 or 12 points. That's what my guess is.
Right.
And I think Michigan will be getting those points. So that might be my teaser special. You take Michigan plus 17 at home with a tough defense.
Yeah.
That might be something to talk about. ASU yesterday. Let's talk about that game. I had money on Oregon. I was rooting for Oregon. If there was 60 seconds left extra in that game, Oregon would have won it.
Right.
I don't know what to think about Justin Herbert, the quarterback at OSU for Oregon. He threw 2 interceptions on back-to-back drives in the second half, coming out of halftime, that were absolutely inexplicable. And then in the first quarter of the game, he's just throwing darts. It's like he's bipolar. I don't know if it's Justin Herbert or if it's Sybil out there.
And the craziest thing was I was just praising Justin Herbert for not turning the ball over in the second half last week. I mean, he only had 1 turnover.
Yeah.
And then the next week, here it is, he goes and gives 2 more back to another team that actually came back and it came back to bid them, and they lost.
I was watching that game in the whole first half. It's really close. It's a one-score game. And I'm thinking to myself, Oregon's got to start imposing their will and putting together some sustained drives, because I could see this going into the fourth quarter where they're down or it's close, and they're going to be kicking themselves that they didn't maximize the potential of those drives in the first half, and that's exactly what ended up happening. The amazing thing is freshman quarterback for ASU, Jaden Daniels, he threw 2 bombs that were absolutely on the money. I mean, absolutely stride for touchdowns. He goes for over 400 yards. Tears apart an Oregon defense that was ranked in the top 15 most of this year. Yeah. I mean, I can't say any more good things about Herm Edwards, Arizona State's fight at home. I love the fact that the fans stormed the field afterwards. I love stuff like that. They don't get a chance to celebrate a lot down there. And this is absolutely the win of the year for them. I couldn't be happier for them, and I'm not rooting against Oregon. I have money on Oregon. I would have liked to see that, that matchup between them and Utah with a chance to go to the playoff, but I think that's pretty much gone now. But ASU absolutely had all the fight in the world and all the heart in the world in that game yesterday and made it entertaining.
Right, and as Herm was, they were speaking to Herm after the game. He said, "This sure enough was made for TV." Right. So the fact that they took on the embodiment of their coach, which says a lot about that team. The fact that they never gave up. They have fight, and they were in just about every game they played this season. So one or two balls go one way or the other. I mean, you're looking at probably like a 10-win team. So I think if they can get some of this stuff cleaned up, Arizona State will be a force in Pac-12 next year.
No, I think they're gonna. I think they're going to be a force next year. And I just love. Don't you just love Herm Edwards?
Yeah, I love Herm.
He is a genuine human being. You're not going to get a PC answer out of him.
Right.
You're not going to get the standard pat stuff. He's just real.
Right.
That's what I love about him. He's just a real individual, and he's a character guy.
Yes, he is.
I mean, man, they got a deal when they got him. I don't know how much he's making a year, but, he's earning all his money. If I was the AD at Arizona State or any college, I would just love to have him going into the houses of recruits to bring them to Arizona State.
Yes. And, I mean, because when you listen to Herm and you listen to how he changed the culture of that team, I mean, first off, I've never seen a head coach that comes in and basically tells everybody, wipes away everybody's scholarship and said, you have to earn this scholarship to play on my team.
Oh, that could have been a melee.
You're right.
That could have been an uprising.
Like, he's like, basically like, none of you guys have a slide on this team. You have to earn your way on this team. And basically, he got rid of all of the guys who didn't have the character, who didn't have the heart, who
didn't think team first.
Didn't think team first. He got rid of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And now look at the culture of this team now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're fighting hard in every game that they play in.
Yeah, and that stadium was filled yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, that's I just love that. I don't want to go without talking about Johnny Johnson, wide receiver for Oregon, 270 yards on 10 receptions, 2 touchdowns. I looked at this guy yesterday. I was like, NFL ready? Yeah. Did you see that performance he put on?
Yeah, I saw like the highlights of.
Pretty much in the fourth quarter, it was like we're just throwing to him and letting him rip.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, they just ran out of time. I mean,
yeah, they absolutely ran out of time. But what a great college football game! All the props in the world to ASU. I'm so stoked for them. Oklahoma at home escapes TCU with a 28-24 victory. Did you see that game at all? Did you see the fourth quarter specifically?
Yes, I don't get Oklahoma. What's going on with Oklahoma?
I don't know. I think they're kind of bipolar. I mean, they had a pretty good game offensively, and then defensively, TCU had enough fight to put up 24 points. But this is what gets me: is the fourth quarter. It's 3rd down and 1. Right. Jalen Hurts does a step back and a run towards the line. There is no way on God's green earth or this universe that he made the first down. Right. No way. And if I was Gary Patterson, the head coach at TCU, I would have unzipped my skull and had Dante's Inferno coming out of the top of my head. I mean, I can't even believe that they marked that as a first down. He was at least a yard short.
Hey, well,
that cost them the game.
That cost them the game.
Because they would have had to punt.
It cost them the game, but then again, the NCAA they have to do better with some of these referees. Some of the referees shouldn't.
But it went to review.
Again,
so the review backs up with the referees. So it's the referees and it's the review process. Because what they said was there were so many people on the offensive line. You got lost in the scrum. You can't see where the ball is.
Right.
How do you even mark it when he's not even within a yard of getting it? I mean, I think TCU got robbed on that.
Teams get robbed all the time because of referees giving a friendly spot to another team.
Yeah, that just bothered me so much. I felt so bad for TCU. I mean, they'd still have to go, handle the punt without fumbling or anything, and then work their way down the field and score a touchdown against the defense. But you're taking away the opportunity. That's what bugs me. Exactly. I want to see how it plays out in a fair environment, and that was absolutely this. I mean, nobody's going to talk about it today, but
of course not.
Speaking of ASU and the job that Herman Edwards has done, let's talk about some of the coaches in the NCAA right now that have done great jobs that are off the board. Not the Ryan Days, the blue chips, but and maybe on your list you've got some, but I've got to put Matt Rule up there at Baylor for what he walked into, how he's turned them around. They're 10-1. Yeah. The only loss they had was at home to an Oklahoma team that they took all the way to the wire. And I think he's done one of the best coaching jobs in college football this year.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. I would say Ed Orgeron, and I'm saying this for a specific reason. Every year, LSU starts out really, really hot. They start out really, really good, and they always fade down the stretch. Mm-hmm. This year, LSU, they're hot. They stayed hot. They're playing consistent on off as far as offense goes.
Whole new offense,
right?
Whole new thinking culturally.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what got Les Miles fired.
Pretty much. And
yeah, we're going to hand off 55 times a game. And it's like, dude, this is boring. You're not beating Alabama. You're gone.
Exactly. And, just the fact that the way he changed that whole culture down there with LSU and actually making, LSU football actually watchable now. So.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't watchable before, but you knew you were getting 10 wins.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What about Mario Cristobal at Oregon? I know they lost last night, but they are absolutely on the right track with him. That was a great hire. I think he's done a great job this year. PJ Fleck, 10-1 at Minnesota. Yeah, he's turned that, it's one thing to do it at a directional school like Western Michigan where he was at before, and it did a great job there. But to come in to, Minnesota that hasn't done spit since I was a fetus, and have them at 10-1 and beating Penn State, they're legit. They're a legit team. I think. What about Sonny Dykes at SMU? Yeah. They're 9-2. I think they lost yesterday to Navy, but Navy's a solid team. But he's turned them around. The one I'm thinking about is Luke Fickell, 10-1 at Cincinnati, former defensive coordinator at Ohio State. I mean, if I said at the beginning of the season Cincinnati's going to be 10-1 under Luke Fickell, what kind of odds would I have gotten on that?
Should have played him.
Yeah. Those are some of the guys that are coming to mind for me. Who else do you think has stood out, like coaching-wise?
Coaching-wise, at the beginning of the season, coaching-wise, it was at the beginning of the season, coaching-wise, I was looking at Harbaugh, the way he didn't start out really well this season, and I was thinking the way the offense was running, that offense. It wasn't going to pan out for them because they wanted to go to the spread offense. They wanted to get Shea Patterson throwing these balls left and right. Receivers are hurt, injuries as far as receivers go, but he actually got it turned around. And so Michigan is actually looking like Michigan football again.
I know. We were talking about him getting fired multiple times, and they definitely got it turned around there. I think he's done a great job. In terms of, let's see, Texas. Texas played Baylor yesterday. They lose 24-10. I don't know. We're looking at the other side of the coin, and we're talking about coaches that have done a great job. I'm looking at Tom Herman. Have a super dynamic offense that Texas hasn't seen in the past 5 or 6 years. And you're 6-5. Your best victory on the year is to Oklahoma State at home, 36-30. I don't know if he's. I don't know how much on the hot seat he is right now.
If I'm Texas, he is definitely on. His seat is starting to get warm. He is one of those coaches. Again, the team starts out pretty well. It fades during the season. And so the fact that they're continuing to fade through the season is showing me that something's not going on right. They're not they're not getting their players to quote unquote buy in, I guess. And so that's an issue.
Well, how about the defense? Yes. Yesterday they lose to Baylor 24-10. They gave up 48 points to Kansas somehow, and in the last month they've had losses to Iowa State, Baylor, and TCU. They're going in the wrong direction at the wrong time of the year, and a lot of it is the defense. But then yesterday the offense fails. You only put up 10 points. I mean, Baylor, yeah, they're a tough team, but still 10 points and 3 losses out of your last 4 games. I don't know, man. Maybe Tom Herman. I liked him, but maybe bringing him from Houston up to Texas was a bit of a stretch.
Again, yeah, I think it was a stretch. I mean, with Texas, you have to be able to not only not be only to recruit, which he's recruited pretty well for Texas, but you have to be able to mold these players and shape these players to get them to play your type of football, and he hasn't been able to do that.
The offense has for a good part of the year, but the defense has just been lacking. And I've said for the last couple weeks I'm off Texas. Yeah. They've lost my confidence. They've lost my vote. I'm discouraged about them. And, I think you're going to start hearing rumblings in the offseason about Tom Herman because this is ridiculous. 6-5, and you lose 24-10 to Baylor. You've lost 3 out of your last 4, and your defense can't stop, I mean, if there was a coffin with a dead person in it rolling down the street on wheels, you couldn't stop it if they had a caterpillar in front of it, a big bulldozer. They couldn't stop it. It's just ridiculous. Moving on to boxing yesterday. Did you see the boxing match? Deontay Wilder rematch against Luis Ortiz? Did you see it?
Yes, I saw
okay.
it, yeah.
Ortiz was winning that fight. Every round. I had him winning on every round.
But
go ahead. I'm going to
listen. That's the thing with Deontay Wilder. He loses the match. He's losing the match and always catches somebody with a lucky punch. Because to me, Deontay Wilder is a brawler. He's not a boxer.
Right. I don't think of that. We stayed up watching that Boise game. When I think of the sweet science of boxing, I think of guys like Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Leonard, technicians, Floyd Mayweather. When I think of Deontay Wilder, I just think of it's like somebody turned a blender on and then threw a bunch of spaghetti in front of it. I mean, he's just going to windmill arm. It's not even, when he hits you, it's not even technique style punches. No. I mean, sometimes he's, gorilla slapping you from the side. I mean, I don't want to use a bad term, but I mean, the guy, sometimes he pimp slaps you from the side of the head with an open fist, and it's not your technical jabs. No. But he caught him with about 8 seconds left to go, and it was just like a pile of bricks falling that had all been lubed up. And I mean, Luis Ortiz just fell down. It was like, and then why does the camera go to Luis Ortiz's family, his daughter and wife? That's not the reaction I want to see. I don't want, if I'm the family, I'm like, don't put me on camera at that moment.
Why? What are you doing? But again, Wilder gets away with a lucky punch.
Yep.
Wins the fight and still undefeated.
And this is why I said he didn't beat Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury won that fight. That was not a draw. Tyson Fury won that. He got knocked down twice, but he beat him every round.
He beat him every round, but one of those counts was a 10 count, but that can go either way.
Okay, we're not. Anyway, this isn't me being pro-Irish. It's just he won. Yeah, he won that fight, the eyeball test.
Right. It turned out to boxing as far as going to the decision. Yeah, he won that fight.
Oh, yeah. So about a month ago, I was saying, this fight's going to happen. Yeah. Deontay Wilder will probably get a knockout. And then the end of February, we'll see Tyson and Wilder step back in for their second fight to decide something, maybe. But and first thing this morning on ESPN, rumors are out that Tyson Fury. This is not a rumor. No. Who's he gonna fight?
Exactly.
You have to settle the dispute, and then we get Andy Ruiz Jr. against Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I've seen absolutely zero promotion for this. Have you? I have not seen one pay-per-view commercial, spam, nothing.
No.
Who's promoting this fight?
Well, then again, you have to understand where they're doing the fight at. A lot of times they can't do a lot of promotion for it.
Why not? I haven't heard anything about it. Who's going to be buying that fight? People in America.
I know.
And in England.
It's like that fight they had with what was that? UFC had a fight over there, and it didn't really get a lot of promotion.
Poirier versus Nurmagomedov, yeah.
Right. It didn't get a lot of promotion, but you know what's happening.
Yeah, but I haven't seen spit for promotion for this fight. Have you? I haven't seen one thing, literally.
But a lot of people really don't want to see this fight, though.
I do.
Yeah.
I have interest in it. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Let's go to the NFL. But before we hit the NFL, hit that subscribe button. Help us support St. Jude and grow the first round to epic proportions. If you want to be a part of the show, you can get a hold of us like many people have in the last couple weeks. thefirstrroundrd@gmail.com. We love all our listeners. Those of you in Tahoe and Nebraska that we picked up this week, we appreciate you checking out the first round, becoming subscribers. We try to do a great show for you, be entertaining and informing, and know what we're talking about, which with the BC pick yesterday, I did not know what I was talking about at all. Biggest game on the board this week, I think, is Dallas going into Gillette, getting 6.5 points against the Patriots. I'll tell you right now, my pick is the Patriots win. I'm taking Dallas plus the 6.5. Big news for Dallas is Leighton Vander Esch, their middle linebacker, will not be playing in this game. Right. Isaiah Wynn is supposed to be back at left tackle, which is going to be a huge, huge plus for the Patriots because Sony Michel in the running game hasn't been there. And quite frankly, Marshall Newhouse over at left tackle has been a bust. Right. I mean, that is unwatchable blocking. And I mean, I'm a huge fan, but I got to call it like it is, and that's an F. Right. So that's going to be a big plus. How do you see this game, though?
I see New England winning it. I see New England winning it probably by field goal. I mean,
close and tight.
Close and tight.
So is this going to be their defense wins it for them and the offense does just enough to win?
I think it's going to be a defensive thing. I think they're going to have just enough defense to stymie Dak Prescott. I mean, who is it? The greatest quarterback?
Mm-hmm. Well, he's having a better season than he's ever had, but I don't know if he's in the top 10 still of quarterbacks in the league because he's got so much talent around him.
Yeah, so I think they have enough to stymie Dak at stymie him as far as the passing game goes. And, it's just really going to be about Zeke and how Zeke gets his yards today. That's really it.
If I've got to lift up the Patriots defense, I mean, it's just been lights out this year, and their run defense has been incredible. I'll be interested to see if Zeke gets 100 yards today. I don't think so. I mean, I want to see, I'm just very interested in this game. It is the Patriots. They're my favorite team since 1979. So all the front running comments can just stop right now. Don't even go there. I mean, I was following the Patriots when they had 8,000 showing up at Foxborough, and it was Steve Grogan and Andre Tippett, and not a lot more than that. Final Hour Ministries will be interested in this game today. You know what's weird is Dallas Cowboy fans are the biggest talkers in the NFL. Yep. But then you go to make a bet with fans that are on the Dallas bandwagon, and they don't want to bet. I got a friend of mine. I bet him a hat twice. I've beaten him twice. I didn't even collect the hat out of the generosity of my good heart. But then I went to him this week. I said, hey, let's bet a hat on the game. And first it starts out with Super Bowl. We're going to beat you guys, blah, blah, blah. I said, let's bet a hat on the game. He goes, no, not going to bet a hat. I don't want to say who it is, but it's one of our viewers. Come on. Put your money where your mouth is or stop talking. You don't have the confidence of all the talk. So, some people talk and whatever. That's one of the games that I'm looking forward to. How about Seattle going on the road to Philly? Seattle's getting a point. I'm taking the point all day long in this one.
That's a crazy number. 1 point?
1 point, yeah. Seattle's getting a point. Philly's giving a point at home.
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking Seattle in that game.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's the inconsistency of Philly. Yeah. I mean, even in the season opener against Washington, they didn't look lights out, and that's when they had Deshaun Jackson. Exactly. So he's not there now. I think that they looked stout against a Patriots team at home that they lost to last weekend. But that's a Patriots team that their offense is at a D or a D plus right now, or a C, and they weren't able to capitalize on the fact that the Patriots can't move the ball as well as they. Man, you want to talk about having turnover on your team? It's like, look at the turnover. Josh Gordon gone. Right. AB, 1 game, gone. Rex Burkhead out for a bunch of the season. Isaiah Wynn out, and everybody's got injuries. But offensively, I've never seen a team having this many injuries in one season on one side of the ball. Have you?
Not that I can recall. Not in the recent past, I can.
It's just been absolutely ridiculous. A game that's not one of the more marquee games on the docket for the NFL is the Oakland Raiders going on the road to the New York Jets. Jets getting 3 points. I'm laying the 3. I'm taking the Raiders. I think the Raiders are on the right trajectory. At the beginning of the season, the over and under was 6.5 games. I took the Raiders. Yeah. They've got 6 games I'm not even supposed to mention this because it could be bad betting voodoo, and I know you believe in this. I'm not even supposed to talk about it. I've got 6 games for the Raiders to win 1 game to pay off my bet. They're at 6 wins right now. They've got 6 left to go. Can they get me 1 win in the next 6?
Yes, and it's going to go by the name of Mr. Brandon Jacobs at running back. This guy's been putting on a show this season. I think he has just enough to go in, keep Carr out of trouble, and with that running game, I think they will sneak out that victory against the Jets today.
Oh, gosh, I'll be so stoked. That'll be 7 victories, and I'm not a gambling-aholic, but, winning is better than losing, man, all the time. Green Bay in a big matchup against San Francisco. Green Bay getting 3 points. San Francisco with that stout defense. I can't believe what a super young coach that's been in the league, Kyle Shanahan, for a long time. Former offensive coordinator for Atlanta when they melted down against my Patriots in the Super Bowl. The greatest Super Bowl victory. That was just so sweet.
You won't let me live it down.
I'm never going to live that down. It's just an awesome game. If you were a fan and your team had done that, you'd be living it up too. That was an incredible game. But back to Green Bay, going on the road to San Francisco. I don't know how Green Bay is doing it offensively. Right. They don't have a marquee wide receiver. They don't have a marquee running back or a running game that I was like, oh, they're just lights out. They're dominant. I can count on 150 to 175 yards a game combined with, whoever they've got back there. I don't know how they're doing it with offense, but 3 points in a tight game, even though it's a road game, I like Green Bay. I'm not even sure where my confidence level is at, but I'll take the 3 points.
You like Green Bay in this game?
Yeah, I like and the 3 points, if it goes up to 3.5, I really like it. Hey, that half a point, it'll sting you. It'll sting you, that half point. I'm telling you how many times that's happened to me.
Yeah, I like San Francisco in this game. I think San Francisco's going to pull it out at home. I think San Francisco's for real.
Oh, they definitely are for real.
They're for real, and I think
but I think Green Bay's for real too. They're 7-2, right? Yeah. Coming in, they've had a good season.
Yeah, but you're playing at home, and then you got this defense that's stingy, and I don't see where Aaron Rodgers is going to be
manufacture points.
Manufacture the points, right?
Yeah. I mean, that might be a good call. I'll take the 3 points. I'm loving it at 3.5. I mean, it's weird how half a point will do that to you. Ravens go on the road Monday Night Football. They're laying 3 points on the road against the Rams, and we've talked about the Rams being in the Super Bowl last year, and this year they've been reduced to mediocrity.
Right.
And here's the thing. Lamar Jackson, it's all the MVP talk now. Wait till about 20 or 25 games hits when he's in the league, and when you're running and getting banged up, running quarterbacks haven't worked out in this league.
Right.
Running quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls. The only one that I can think of that's done it is Russell Wilson, who's I would put as a mild dual threat quarterback.
Right.
But he's good when he runs. He's mobile, and I think he's one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league.
Right.
But over the history of the NFL, when you look at who wins NFL titles, who wins the Super Bowl, it's Tom Brady. He's about as mobile as a semi-truck with no tires on it.
Right.
Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana. Brett Favre had some mobility, but I'm thinking about the guys that have won it. Ben Roethlisberger, not very mobile. I mean, he's bolted to the center of the earth most of the time. Mobile quarterbacks don't win it. And I like the guy. I think he's talented, but I think they're going to have to find – John Harbaugh is going to have to find a way to get his passing to the next level and reduce the running.
And I think they are going to be able to do that eventually. Right now, he's just allowing Lamar to be Lamar. But I think as he progresses on in the league, he's not going to take those hits running the ball either. I mean, when you're in the pocket, at least you have some sort of safety. But when you're out there and you're running against those linebackers and they hit you, you just...
So how long can he sustain this level of play, which is a very high level of play, with this style of play?
I give it like another season or so.
Because the NFL catches up real fast to people.
I give it another season or so. I mean, it's kind of like almost the rebirth of Michael Vick when he first
Right.
started playing, because even though you had running quarterbacks, you had never had a quarterback that was running this fast.
Right, but how did Michael Vick turn out? And then we could talk about Donovan McNabb. We could talk about Randall Cunningham. We could talk about Brett Favre in his early years. These are all except we could talk about Cam Newton. But, none of what have any of those guys achieved? Brett had a Super Bowl, but the other guys, for the majority of those type of quarterbacks, the real truth running threat quarterbacks, it doesn't work out. It's just a matter of time before,
No, it does. And eventually they have to fall in line and actually be pocket quarterbacks.
Right.
And I think Lamar Jackson has the capability of doing it, but I think it has to get to a point where Harbaugh has to make Lamar feel comfortable, sit back there in the pocket,
not escaping. Because that's his default. When he feels that pressure, if he's gone through his progressions, he's on his second or third guy, he takes off. Right. Look, I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's an absolutely great player in every facet of the game. He's not a problem in the locker room. He's a team player. He worked out last summer. I mean, his neck looks like a cinder block, for crying out loud. He's got all kinds of crazy talent. He's got a pretty good arm. Yeah. I love this kid. I want to see him around for a long time. I just don't think it's sustainable, this type of play at this level. I think he's got to change, like you said, and become I'm not trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. I'm not trying to do that. I just know that it doesn't work. It's entertaining. It's flashy. It looks awesome. It shows off your talent. But the NFL is about wins.
Yeah, it is. And eventually, as you see, as Michael Vick got older in his career, he began to try to be more of a pocket quarterback. I mean, he still had the strong arm. I mean, he still had his mobility. But, he tried to be more of a pocket quarterback and was actually pretty successful at doing so. So I think Lamar Jackson has something to look at when it's time to try to make that change.
Yeah, it's all shiny now, but what happens when the hot model that you're dating stops wearing makeup on about the 16th or 17th date, and you're like, we're going to find out if we're really in love with her or not. So I started the top of the show with things that I haven't expected, that stood out to you and I in sports this weekend. And unfortunately, one of the things that stood out was the NBA. They're coming out with all these changes, in-season re-bracketing and mid-season tournaments and 78-game minimums. And it was so confusing. I watched a lot of stuff on it yesterday and tried to read up and figure out what the heck is going on with this. I like Adam Silver as he's one of the best commissioners. Right. But what the heck are you? These things could happen in 2021-22 season.
Right.
So, help. I don't even know where to go with this.
Well, he's trying to stop stagnation. I mean, because like most people, like me, I don't really care about the NBA until after the All-Star game, because nobody's really.
I usually start watching it about May. Seriously,
yeah, exactly.
That's when I start taking it serious.
Exactly, and so that's the issue that Adam Silver is trying to deal with now. Is okay, the NBA has become stagnated. Like most people don't really. You have some true NBA fans that'll watch their team, from the beginning of the season to the end of the season.
Right.
But now you've got to a point where people now, even who are true fans, are not casual watchers who are on the go or doing other stuff. Just catch ESPN. Catch the highlights. Hey, we won. Call it a day.
Yeah, I'm a standings watcher. I just watch where the Celtics are, and I pick up on little things throughout the year, but I don't really start getting serious about it until April May. Yeah. Here's the thing. Under this new format that they're proposing, you could have two Eastern Conference teams playing for the NBA title. Yeah. I don't like that. Yeah. I'm a traditionalist. I'm not a get-off-my-lawn old man yet, but I don't know. I don't even know how this is going to work. They're going to have an in-season reseeding of what?
Okay, so basically it's kind of like what happens with the WNBA. The WNBA has...
Wait, who watches that?
Well, my mom watches it, but anyway. So
Who's the other viewer?
I don't know. So basically what they do with the WNBA is they take the top, I think it's like the top 8 seeds.
Yeah.
And that's from, they take it, go
halfway
by record,
through the season? When are they doing this?
Well, no, I'm just saying as far as the reseeding goes.
Okay.
So as far as the reseeding goes, they go by the records or whatnot. So they take like the top 8 seeds by record, and then they just do like a round robin and go from there.
I don't know
then
about
again,
that. I think this could bomb. You know what I can't stand? This is what I can't stand about the NBA. The first round RD at gmail.com. I want to get your comments on this and your opinions. We'll get them on the air and we'll put them up on the show. The whole lottery system with the NBA has been screwed up for 15 years. Why can't it just be the worst team in the league? I know they want to avoid tanking, but that's not a good enough reason to overturn what you've been doing that worked. The worst team in the NBA gets the first pick. That's it. If they want to screw themselves into the ground and tick off their fan base, then that's fine. They're going to lose ticket sales, and things work themselves out in that order.
Right.
But the whole drafting system with the NBA is absolutely stupid now. It's some mystery draft ball selection that we don't even get to see. It happens beforehand, off camera. No one sees it. I don't trust it. It brings up things in the back of my head. The voices, and I start getting Vietnam flashbacks. Like, there's a conspiracy to this. I don't believe in it. I don't trust it. I just want to, I don't even have to see the lottery to happen. Whoever's the last place team, they get the first pick. The second worst record gets the second pick. So on and so forth down. I don't trust what's going on. I don't like it. It makes me think it's rigged. Why are we doing something different? It hasn't made the NBA better, I don't think.
Well, I mean, with that system, the worst placed team, they have more balls in the actual.
If you're the worst placed team, you get the only ball for the first pick.
Well, I mean,
do you like the way it works now?
I like the way it works in a sense because.
Do you trust it? There are ping pong balls going around backstage hours before the show. We never get to see it. You trust this? 100% trust it. I don't.
I think they have televised it.
The ping pong ball drops?
I think they've televised the last couple of years.
I haven't seen them.
I think they've televised it, but yes.
Maybe I'm out of my mind.
But yeah, the losing team has more chances to actually get the number one pick.
The losing team should have all the chance to get the number one pick.
Well, that's the thing, though, Ron. You don't want a team like Philadelphia tanking year after year after year after year.
It'll catch up with them because if they keep tanking year after year after year after year, butts stop coming, money stops flowing in, the fan base goes down, my interest level in Philly goes down, and then the team it just dissolves. That's what happens when you tank. So there's a built-in mechanism. It's called money, butts and seats, advertising.
I mean, it doesn't work for teams like New York who continues.
When was the last time New York was a blip on the NBA radar?
Again, New York is a team that bombs. They're always in the lottery.
They bomb because of Michael Dolan, their owner. Well, they don't bomb because of the lottery. The lottery hasn't even helped them.
Exactly. I mean, they've been in the lottery for the past, 10 years?
Right. And where have they been? See, that's my point. The lottery doesn't help. Just because you're in the lottery, if you're the worst team, you get the first pick. That's it. That's how it should be. I must be out of my mind.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just don't like the fact that a team that continues to quote unquote be the worst team in the league,
right,
continues to get that number one pick. I don't.
At some point, you're going to break through. It's not because you're not trying. You're taking, unless it comes down to a scouting issue with that team. You're getting the top players 3 or 4 years in a row. There's teams that haven't gotten the first pick 3 or 4 years in a row, and they built their organizations up.
And again, that may be an issue with the scouting for that team, but you can't continue to have that same team continue to take every year.
Why?
Because
it's going to break through.
Hopefully, you would hope so. I mean, you really would hope
Otherwise,
so.
you if you're Adam Silver, you bring in all the people in the scouting, the GM, and the ownership, and have a private off-press meeting where no one knows about it, and you just say, hey, look, you're getting the number one pick 3 years in a row. What are we doing here? Let's get it working. You're the face of our league. Every team is a representation of the league.
Right.
So that's what I would do. I don't know. What else is going on in the world of sports, Chris? I think it's too many big changes being proposed in a short period of time. Yeah. There's no slow matriculation where, it's just like bam, 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 bam. Here it is. It's happening in 2 years. I don't like it. Change the lottery back. I don't like it.
Well, Ron, I mean, it's simple. It's about ratings. You got a ratings game. You have the NFL ratings, which is way up here. You have the NBA, which is like a tier below that. You have Major League.
The NBA is unwatchable during the regular season.
Exactly.
To me.
And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get more viewers watching the game.
Well,
so they have to try to do something to make it more engaging.
Don't do something stupid.
No, of course not.
I mean, that's like putting a silk hat on a pig. Now people look at the pig, yeah, and we'll say how dumb it looks.
Well, I mean, it's just like it's like they're throwing paint on the wall to see which stick is which is going to make the best artwork. I mean, it doesn't.
It's retarded.
Yeah, it sucks.
What else is going on in the world of sports, Chris, that piqued your attention?
What really piqued my attention this week? It really didn't pique my attention. It kind of irked me. I understand people. I understand everybody wants to talk about climate change. Climate change, it's real. It's happening. It's scientifically proven. But don't interrupt
Yale,
me
Harvard,
yeah.
Yale, Harvard football game
Yeah,
yesterday
but
at halftime. About 75 students walked
Exactly.
onto the field with banners and a bunch of other stuff, sat at midfield, and held up the game for about 45 minutes.
Exactly. Don't interrupt me from football. You
Yeah.
have your protests outside the stadium. Do whatever you want to have it there. But don't interrupt me from football.
Right. I paid money to come in here and see that.
Exactly.
You're jacking it up. The one I really hate is when the protesters block an intersection when I'm in my car. You really want to start a rage riot? Stop people from getting where they're supposed to be in their car. I've seen, and for most of these people, I'm with what they're trying to do. Greenpeace
Right.
and, I don't know. I saw a funny one on YouTube the other day where a guy was standing outside of a slaughterhouse and they were protesting pigs being killed, and he had a barbecue going, handing out hot dogs. I
Exactly.
thought that was so funny. That music can mean only one thing. We've come to the end of our show. It's time to thank our support staff. The man on the board, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, my co-host, Chris Roberts, for all of us here in the St. Jude Studios in the first round. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Go right below, right now. Smash that subscription button. Give us a thumbs up or two. Tell your friends about the first round and how awesome this show is. Check out our top 5 list, and we will be right back here. We're taking Wednesday off. We'll be back here next Sunday with an amazing show for you. So much stuff to talk about. Until then, be nice to one another, and we'll see you next Sunday.
Happy Thanksgiving.